Part 5. Wildpeace. A little rest for the wounds. As the last track, Song of the Future, ends and crossfades into the next track, an audio recording is heard. It appears to be from the 2022 protests in Iran. Over a Zoruba-like droning pad, a woman's voice is heard shouting, "Down with dictatorship." A bang is heard. Perhaps a kick drum heavily processed with reverb to mask a gunshot. Then a male voice is heard saying, "Here, here, get up and come here, come here, come here, come here." Only then, Wildpeace truly starts. Wildpeace is a relatively short track on this EP. I'm reminded of how Coldplay included a Rumi poem on their 2015 album, A Head Full of Dreams. The Coldplay track is called Kaleidoscope, and President Barack Obama is reading the poem, The Guest House. Back to U2 and Days of Ash. Wildpeace is a poem written by the Israeli poet and author Yehuda Amichai. It is a chosen name, which I'm told translates as "My People Lives." Amichai was born in Germany in 1924. When he was 12, his family became refugees and escaped Germany during World War II. They fled to Palestine before they eventually settled in Jerusalem. Amichai's experiences fighting with the Israeli Defense Forces in the Israeli-Arab War in 1948 and of having lived through World War II informed his poetry. Amichai believed that all poetry is inherently political. Speaking to Paris Review, he said, quote, "This is because real poems deal with the human response to reality, and politics is a part of reality, history in the making." End quote. As Amichai writes in Hebrew, the recording of Wildpeace for Days of Ash has been translated to English by Chana Bloch and Stephen Mitchell. It is not read by a member of U2, although they provide the music in an arrangement by Jackknife Lee. Instead, we get to listen to the Nigerian artist Adeola. In Propaganda, Bono says this of Adeola's performance, quote, "I can hardly listen to her voice. It cuts right through me, and somehow suggests other conflicts on the African continent just by the lilt of her achingly beautiful voice. Sudan, dear God." End quote. I agree. Something is so captivating about hearing an African voice reading a poem about war written by an Israeli poet. The line that gets me is the one that describes the pause of the ceasefire. You can talk only about a great weariness. Not pride, not joy, not jubilation, just a great weariness. The next section, discussing how killing is the act of an adult, evokes Bono's writing on the song Winter. He had been reading Minds at War, a poetry collection from World War I, while U2 visited Fez, Morocco in 2007 to work on new music with producers Danny Lanois and Brian Eno. Quote, "At 21, I was born a son, and on that day I knew I could kill. To protect the ones, we put bullets in guns, or anything it takes to take a life until it's still." End quote. There's also something else that comes from the great weariness. Adeola reads, quote, "A little rest for the wounds. Who speaks of healing?" End quote. In his writing, Amichai then calls for peace to come, like wildflowers growing out of weary fields. Wait a minute. That is what Bono describes in A Sort of Homecoming, isn't it? As mentioned, the poem concludes with a call for peace. Amichai encourages peace to come suddenly. It has an echo of that Hemingway phrase about bankruptcy, although this time with a desire that peace could also come just as soon. Of course, it's not that easy. Let me leave Wildpeace with the thought that Wildpeace will never emerge like wildflowers in a field. It takes effort and will and intention to cultivate peace. After all, the best things, like a lasting peace, are easy to destroy. Although just over a minute long, we can see that there is a lot to unpack. As with anything U2 undertakes, this is an intentionally placed poem and spoken word performance. For an EP that talks about the nature of human conflict, it makes perfect sense to slow down and allow the listeners a little rest for the wounds. We are given a moment to recover emotionally and process the great weariness from what we've heard on the first 3 tracks, because it's only going to get more intense in the next one.